For my sermon on the first Sunday of Advent, I said that in the in the Gospel of Luke, the birth of Jesus did not begin with once upon a time, but rather during the rule of King Herod. But unless you're familiar with Herod, that line can go over your head as an unimportant detail. However, whereas Luke begins with a passing allusion, Matthew leans in to make clear what anyone might not know about Herod. And there are a few things he did all right. He expanded Jerusalem, he rebuilt the temple on a grander scale, and he poured money into religious life. But mostly Herod was terrifying. He governed with fear and suspicion. He was a Jewish king, but chosen by Rome, propped up by Rome for only as long as he was useful for Rome, which made him especially dangerous. And to many Jews, he was an illegitimate king because he was outside the lineage of King David. And he knew his power was thin, so he tried to secure legitimacy by marrying into the right family. But when paranoia got the best of him, he suspected betrayal and had that wife murdered, along with her relatives. In fact, he was so paranoid and cruel, he executed his sons as easily as his enemies. Caesar reportedly said it was safer to be Herod's pig than Herod's son. Herod measured every rumor for threat, and thus, when strangers arrived from the east asking, "Where is the child who has been born king?" Herod shuddered, and Matthew adds, all Jerusalem with him. Jerusalem is afraid because they know what Herod is capable of. And Herod invites the Magi in and pretends reverence. Go and search diligently, and when you find the child, bring me word so I may honor him. Which sounds like devotion. It's actually surveillance. Scholars and religious experts quote the prophet Micah and point to Bethlehem. As you heard, the Magi follow the star to a house where they find the child and recognize in him something extraordinary, and they offer him gifts fit for royalty. And when they're ready to leave, they're warned in a dream to bypass Herod. When their obedience to his power would mean becoming part of his violence, they didn't confront Herod or try to change his mind. They simply refused to cooperate, and they went home by another way. And when Herod discovered his plan was thwarted, he orders the slaughter of all innocent boys around Bethlehem. Infant boys, innocent as well. And that's as bad as it sounds. And Matthew doesn't try to soften it. He reaches back to recall Jeremiah's lament that Rachel was weeping for her children and refused to be consoled. But first, Joseph had a dream too. Get up and run. Take the child. And afraid of the king, they lived in Egypt. They crossed the border. They became refugees. They lived there until the danger eased, until Herod died. But then one of his sons one of the sons that lived, became the ruler of Jerusalem. So they moved to Nazareth in Galilee instead, even though there was another one of Herod's sons there. Herod had numerous wives. And this is the Herod that later cuts off the head of John the Baptist and serves it on a platter to his stepdaughter as a present. These Herods are terrifying. And what's the point of all this? This is the world Jesus was born into. In Matthew, there's no stories of shepherds and angels. Chapter 1, verse 1 begins with a long genealogy all the way from Abraham to Joseph, and then straight into Joseph's dream not to dismiss his pregnant fiancée. There's no journey in her 9th month of pregnancy. There's There's no room unavailable at the inn or a babe lying in a manger wrapped in swaddling clothes. Just after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, during the reign of King Herod, Magi came from the east. A child whose life began immediately on the run. Jesus is the story of God becoming incarnate, not for power or glory, but to enter into one of the most basic human struggles shared in every generation. A family fleeing danger, crossing a border, hoping for safety, the Holy Family dependent on the hospitality of another nation. And what does this mean? Well, for followers of Christ, welcoming those who flee their lives is not adjacent to the Christian story. It's not an activity or a mission of the church. It's where we can stand most completely inside the story of Jesus himself. The Magi are the first people in the gospel to respond faithfully to Jesus. Now, we sing "We Three Kings," but these folks are not powerful. They're astrologers who don't fix their attention on the ruling authority. They fix their attention on the sky. And they notice what others overlook and follow something they don't fully comprehend. So they go and check it out for themselves. So do the Magi understand the implication of the star when they first see it? Or do they come to understand it by following it? Either way, they pay attention. And that matters. Because in a world full of distractions and fear, then and now, faith becomes attentiveness. Faith pays attention to signs and wonders which may instantly make sense or make no sense at all. But what we do know is that one night, the Magi took their first step into the dark, shaped by trust rather than certainty. And they were guided by curiosity and a star. And I think there's something very important in that as we begin our new year. They were attentive. And that's the idea behind star words. Choosing a star word has become a simple practice to transition from Christmas to Epiphany. And many churches have begun to use it to enter a new year, a practice, a tradition. And star words don't function as goals or answers or resolutions for self-improvement. They offer to us the same posture of curiosity and attentiveness that we see in Matthew's story. It's not a word we go look for and then choose. Like a star in the night, we can only receive it and be curious about it. The word will instantly make sense about what's going on in your world. Or it may make no sense at all, only inviting us to follow it, to understand. And if we're willing to stick with it, the meaning may unfold through reflection and lived experience. Or maybe not. Maybe it's a completely baffling word, and you go, well, maybe next year. And I've really enjoyed over the course of this year at various points talking with you about what your word was and what it's turned out to be or not to be. But the whole point of it is to be curious and pay attention. Is this something that God might be revealing in my life? See, last year I got the word mercy. And at first I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens. And it was just a few weeks later that the use of the word mercy by Bishop Marianne Buddy at a prayer service for the inauguration of the new president would ignite a firestorm of anger at her, contempt for the word mercy, a word so basic to the Christian vocabulary that it caused me to go, eh. And yet it guided my preaching all year long. It illuminated just how central mercy is as a Christian response to power. Mercy is a simple word, but it exposes the lies of Christianity with authoritarian impulses, the pursuit of power to enforce and dominate and win. And mercy is nothing like that. Mercy protects the vulnerable, not secure the strong. Authoritarianism doesn't like mercy because it threatens a transactional way of seeing the world where suffering is the failure of those suffering, not the product of greed. And mercy centers the wrong people, because biblical mercy flows downward toward the poor, toward the stranger and the outsider, the very people this movement blames and resents. Authoritarian Christianity is oriented upward toward dominance and greatness and so-called winners with fear as their tool. Manipulated fear of others, fear of losing cultural dominance, but mercy. Mercy refuses fear. And it's how faith stops helping violence do its work. Like the Magi, mercy refuses to cooperate with its logic. Just like Jesus, who will grow up and refuse to cooperate with the power he is offered. He will eat with the wrong kind of people and won't apologize for it. He will forgive people without asking anyone else for permission. He will heal on the wrong day and dare anyone to stop him. He won't punish his enemies even when punishment would make him popular. But you know, that Jesus can't be weaponized. So he's replaced with a warrior Jesus who knows how to win, and a nationalist Jesus who knows whose side he's on, and a punishing Jesus who is merciless. So last year at this time when I saw the word mercy and thought, having contempt for mercy made no sense to me until it became clear that mercy threatens an entire worldview and that instead we're called to follow Jesus, faithful to Jesus. I didn't fully realize all that meant before the word picked itself for me last year, which makes me even more curious. What's my word going to be this year? One night, the Magi took their first step into the dark, shaped by trust rather than certainty, curiosity, guided by a star. And that's what these words invite us to. So when we come forward for communion, after you've received it, go over to a tree and just pick a word. Can't see what it is until you've received it. And it may instantly go, oh, yeah, this helps me understand what I'm going through right now. And other times it'll go, huh? And it won't make sense all year long, just to warn you. Or it may unfold in its meaning and help you go, oh, this is where God is leading me. Now, if you're watching online, you just go to our Facebook page and there's a place to click. It'll take you to a link, and there'll be a wheel, and it's like a casino wheel. You click on it, and boom, your word shows up. So you can participate either here or there. Now, these are not meant to answer your questions, but maybe they will raise new ones. Questions that will help you notice the quiet ways God leads. Moments when faithfulness requires attention. When faithfulness requires curiosity. and when faithfulness requires the courage to go home by another way. Amen.